Joining us, Aaron Portzline, who covers the NHL, the Blue Jackets for The Athletic. Aaron, how you doing?
Good, gentlemen. How are you?
Are you in depression over the Cavs, or are you, just pseudo fan, or could you care less about the NBA?
I mean, maybe I'm just worn down through the years. It takes a lot more than the Cavs to depress me.
Yeah, I suppose that's true too. Well, Washington's up 3-1. Feels like they're about to break through. I got to tell you, I still have to see it to believe it. It would be so Washington to exercise all these playoff demons and then blow a 3-1 lead. But they're obviously in great position. What, in your mind, has been the difference in this series for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, Braden Holtby's been wonderful. I think Ovechkin has done a lot of the stuff that maybe he hasn't done in the past, not the stuff that jumps off the score sheet, but the stuff that winning teams do. I mean, look at the scoring that they've gotten from deep in their lineup. Devontae Smith-Pelly has scored some huge goals for them. The fourth line has been, a real difference maker for them. I think it's so fascinating. I was meeting with a couple of guys this morning, from the sports world. Sports just reminds you all the time that you don't really know. You just don't know. And Washington got rid of three players, significant players from last year's team, and they were supposed to take a step back this year. And here they are on the cusp of the Stanley Cup, of winning the Stanley Cup, and they're going to do it against a team that wasn't even supposed to make the playoffs, this stinky expansion team.
Right.
It's so incredible that one of these teams is going to win the Stanley Cup, and it looks like it's going to be Washington.
How, I don't know, how should the Jackets look at this? I mean, they were up 2-0 on this team, maybe an overtime goal in Game 3 away from putting the series away.
Right.
Even though they were eliminated in round 1, should they feel like, hey, we're that close? Or do you look at it and say, you mentioned Braden Holtby. He didn't play in games 1 and 2. I mean, do they look at it like, we would have gotten swept if Holtby would have played? How close do you think that the organization should feel like they are?
Yeah, I think it makes people feel better. I mean, if Washington would have been bounced in the second round to Pittsburgh, I think there would be some real soul searching. I think there still is, but I do think it's a bit of a salve, if you will. I mean, to your point, do you look at it like, geez, you had them on the ropes, and this could be you in the Stanley Cup final, or do you look at it from the perspective of, well, if you're going to lose, you might as well lose to the team that's good enough to win it all. But I also feel like we had this conversation a year ago when Pittsburgh did the same thing. So, I mean, I do think it makes you feel better to get bounced by a team that quite obviously is a hell of a hockey team. But I wouldn't want to. I can see some remote controls going through TV screens tonight when Tom Wilson grabs the cup.
You're exactly right. You're right. One of them might be our producers, by the way.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah. You're talking about the you don't know in sports. If the Jackets finish that series off, Barry Trotz is probably out of a job, and now he's a win away from hoisting the cup. I mean, that's, Aaron, kind of the fine line in sports, isn't it?
It's incredible. That's what I mean. It's just incredible. What Barry Trotz may be out of Washington no matter how this ends. That's the sense talking to a lot of people around the league, that he's known this is his last run in Washington. I don't think it's his last run in the NHL, certainly. He's one of those guys, as tough as it is to see Tom Wilson lift the cup, and I'm sure there are other guys, maybe some people don't want to see Ovechkin win as well, but Barry Trotz is one of those guys, hell of a human being. And he's one of those, he's been at it for a long time, had some really good teams. And he's sort of casting aside some ghosts here, too, because he had the reputation in Nashville as the guy that couldn't seal the deal. I'm super happy for this guy, because he truly is, when you go across this league and cover for a number of years, he's one of the better guys that you're going to come across.
Visiting with Aaron Portzline of The Athletic. Aaron, let's get to some Blue Jacket issues. I saw you wrote today about Ian Cole, acquired obviously at the trade deadline, had a significant impact on the Jackets. Veteran defenseman, seemed to fit very well, had good chemistry with David Savard. He's an unrestricted free agent. Chances that we see Ian Cole back with the Jackets next year?
Yeah, I think they were actually pretty good. The two sides have talked. They've had at least a couple of think what you would call negotiations, certainly contracts. He is, I think, at the top of the list in terms of urgency. As you mentioned, he can be a free agent as of July 1. What I took away from our conversation with Ian a couple of days ago was, players work and dream of being unrestricted free agents where you can go wherever you want, where you have several teams coming after you, and the bidding goes up high, and you get a long-term contract for some pretty good cash. He is facing that. He's got that opportunity before him July 1st, but he likes Columbus so much, the city, the team, the fans, all of it, that if the deal is right with Columbus, he made it clear he would sign that deal and not even put himself on the market July 1st. So that's good news if you're the Blue Jackets. Now it's just a matter of the numbers coming together, but I do get the sense it gets done.
Aaron, in your time covering the Jackets, that seems like a theme that I hear quite often from guys. Does this organization surprise guys sometimes where they come here and go, you know what, I like it here, and end up building houses and staying here, maybe that's common all the way around the league, but I seem to recognize that quite a bit with the Jackets.
Yeah, I think we talk about it maybe more in this city than other cities do because it's part of our charm. There's always been a little bit of an inferiority complex here. So when some guy says it in New York, you're like, yeah, whatever. But when some guy says it about Columbus, you go, oh, this is a guy who's been around the world and really likes it here. But I do think, for a lot of these guys, Columbus is a big city that feels like a small city. And I've traveled the league many times. It's a really nice spot compared to some other cities in terms of raising a family, in terms of settling down. I think they genuinely like it here. I think what's changed is they've always liked the city, even the young, early days Blue Jackets. But it was the team they weren't sure of. Can I win here is always the question with free agents. That's the number one question. That's why guys went to Detroit 10 years ago when the city was so bleak, the arena was awful, but it's a chance to win. That's what's changed here in Columbus, where I think people want to stay here, want to be a part of this because they do feel like the team has caught up to the city.
Draft's coming up 2 weeks from tomorrow. Jackets pick, I think, 18th in the first round, something like that.
Yep. That's right.
A lot of times we see trades around the draft. Do you think we're going to see any type of maneuvering whatsoever from the Jackets? Are there guys that could be on the move before draft day?
I think they want to be aggressive. I'm not. It very well could be an out of nowhere trade like the one they sprung last year at the draft, where Panarin came in and Saad went out. I think there was a sense that they would move Saad because they weren't thrilled with him, but nobody had any idea Panarin was on the move.
Right.
So always be an alert for that. I think the chances of them moving that first-round pick, trading it for a player is almost out of the question because they didn't have a first-round draft pick last year, and you worry you get a couple years down the road without a first-round draft pick, and you start to see a big hole in your prospects in your depth chart. So they may move that pick for another first-round pick. I don't see them moving that pick for immediate help. I think the bigger question with this team are the contracts that they need to re-sign guys to, that they can sign extensions to Panarin, to Bobrovsky, to Werenski as of July 1st. But Yarmo has always had the ability to surprise and has no problem doing that, so keep your ears peeled always.
All right, Aaron, thanks. Good stuff, as always. Appreciate it. Enjoy your off-season, although with the draft and free agency coming up, your off-season, there really is no off-season, I imagine, for you.
Yeah, here it comes. We'll get to August, right?
That's exactly right. Hey, Aaron, you take care. Appreciate the time.
Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.